Hello, welcome to this very quick update. So we already talked about the tropics today in the Atlantic, but now we have like Hurricane Oscar. So it turned into a tropical storm and it's already a hurricane. It's a very small, very compact, but it's a Hurricane Oscar very close to the Turks and Caicos there. So already some precipitation affecting the area there. So this will bring some gusty winds and heavy rain in those areas. So see, there's Nadine, we discussed in the video earlier today, just made landfall in Belize, and now there's Hurricane Oscar. So let's see, there are hurricane warnings in the Turks and Caicos, and hurricane warnings in the southernmost Bahamas, and some hurricane watches in Cuba there, and tropical storm watches in Cuba. So be careful those areas. Please be careful. It's nearly at the Turks and Caicos, alright? But you see, like, the wind field from this is really small. So, here, where is it? So, it's just a very small wind field, and but it's strong. So, it's not strong, but like category 1 is stronger than a tropical storm. So, you have more impacts. Let's see. Oscar is now expected to bring hurricane conditions parts of southeastern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and eastern Cuba during the next day or so. Hurricane warning has now been issued for those locations. Oscar is expected to produce dangerous storm surge on Turks and Caicos Islands beginning this evening. Be careful with the storm surge, that's a fact. Locally heavy rainfall is possible across the Turks and Caicos Islands and southeastern Bahamas. Later today and tonight, these rains are expected to spread to eastern Cuba on Sunday. So be aware of the heavy rain, maybe some flood or two. And especially in Cuba, close to 150 millimeters, 100 millimeters. In the Turks and Caicos, 50 to 100 millimeters. So please be careful in those areas. The tropical storm force winds there are very windy in the Turks and Caicos. Some 50 knot winds probabilities, very gusty there too, and the hurricane winds there to affect the Turks and Caicos too. So even Cuba. So please be careful there. There's like the warnings here in those islands of the Turks and Caicos, southern Bahamas, some areas there, and the hurricane watches in Cuba. So please, please be careful there and stay safe. So where is it? Here. Let's see. There is now. It shows all those heavier showers and storms affecting the Turks and Caicos, and I think that's the Bahamas or Cuba or something. So please be careful there. And then it will affect Cuba, shows some very heavy rain there Sunday into Monday, and then it will curve north again and affect the southern Bahamas more. So that's Monday to Tuesday, especially Tuesday, heavier in the southern Bahamas. So please stay safe there. Let's see. The rainfall accumulation until next Thursday shows more in Cuba, like 174 millimeters, 180 millimeters in Cuba, so a lot in Cuba, might be some flooding there. Be careful, shows in the southern Bahamas, more than 150, 180 millimeters, so please be careful. Turks and Caicos, like 50 millimeters, 60. Although it'll be just like 50, 60 millimeters, it'll be like very intense because the hurricanes is like almost there, as you can see here already. Some storms in Cookburg town and some areas there. So it was just like 60, 70 millimeters, but you'll be like very very heavy and strong winds. So because the system's nearly on top of you, so please stay safe there. There are the winds here. So why is this like this? So like some 65 kilometer per hour gusts. Later on, some 73 kilometer per hour gusts. But this is the European model. Every model has a different. Like the GFS, like even weaker. The Canadian, no, the Icon barely has any wind. And let's see. So let's not trust these models very much. Let's trust more this wind probability, like probability of tropical storm force winds uh, from Hurricane Oscars. So there's like some close to 80 kilometer per hour gusts, so with tropical storm force winds and sustained winds 35, 35 mile per hour gusts, sustained winds. So please be careful, like especially the southern Turks and Caicos and that island of the Bahamas. I'm not sure that's the Bahamas or part of Cuba, but be careful in that purple area, especially with some very high gusts. And these are some weak hurricane force winds probabilities. These are like the 74 mile per hour sustained winds of a hurricane because it's already a hurricane, and the gusts might be higher than 74 mile per hour. 74 mile per hour is already like more than 100 kilometer per hour gusts and sustained winds. So be careful. Although the models like here don't indicate that much strength, but be careful. Like there's the hurricane models, the HRF with Oscar. Not even these models are showing the strength that it is now, but they're showing uh, going there, and I think this is the HRF. The HRF did a good job from the beginning, but then it started weakening. Like now it's showing weaker than it actually is. But like there's the half A, it goes there. The half A is very disorganized, this system, but it does have the storms in Cuba and the Bahamas and those areas. But I prefer to see this here. The intensity guidance is category 1 now, the sustained winds. Some models take this to category 2, even 3, but only like two models take this to category 2. So likely just be a category 1, but since it intensified into a tropical storm and then a hurricane in less than 12 hours, so you never know. But the conditions there aren't that favorable for something like a major hurricane. You'll likely just be like a category 1 and a tropical storm. So be aware. Some models take this through Cuba into the Caribbean, but most models curve it back out into the Atlantic there. So just be careful, the Turks and Caicos. Stay safe from like the storm surge. Those winds might push into the small islands there. Be careful of the strong winds, especially uh, the heavy rainfall. Might be the risk of flooding, especially in Cuba, the flooding. So be careful in the southern Bahamas too, and stay safe there. And let's see. And Central America, we already talked about, but let's just give a recap. Still more than 200 millimeters expected in Mexico there. Belize and like Guatemala still very heavy. It already made landfall, but there's a lot of rain there, convection in all those areas. So especially some islands of the Yucatan there, Playa del Carmen and other areas. So please stay safe with the heavy rain. Be careful of mudslides, like landslides and flooding, especially in Mexico and many other areas there. So stay safe, and this may